Greetings, users and programs. This is Etari Living Sacrifice, and today we're going to talk about why we should want to fail more, why we should want to fail more faster, and how that will help us get to our end game dream or goal sooner rather than later. I've been playing this amazing game called Cuphead Don't Deal with the Devil lately. You've probably heard of it or maybe even already played it yourself. The game is not easy. There are no save points in the middle of a level, and if you die, you have to start all over every time. There's a death counter in the game that tells you how many times you've died, and apparently I have died a total of 688 times so far, and I still haven't beat the game yet. I still have one more level left. Now, I play video games the way I play life. I tend to play one game at a time because I know the second I get distracted and pick up another game, I might never come back to finish the old one. When I'm playing a level of Cuphead, I play the same level over and over and over again until I freaking beat it. So far, the hardest boss for me has been the green dragon in the Grim Matchstick Fiery Frolic level. It took me over an hour and a half to beat that level, but I beat it in one sitting. Now let me ask you this. If you want to get good at a game, do you pick up the controller for 5 minutes and play, and then put the controller down and come back to it in a week and play for another 5 minutes? No! You put in consistent and concentrated effort. You learn and practice the combos. You research the secrets, and you squeeze in an extra 5 minutes of practice whenever you can. How long do you think it would have taken me to beat that level if every time I had died, I had put the controller down, waited a day or a week before I tried again? Do you think my brain would ever really connected any synapses that way? The chances are I never would have beat that level if I had taken that approach. I played and died. Well, that didn't work. Let's try it this way this time. Alright, we got a little further that time now. Now I know what's going to be thrown at me next. Well, crap, that time I did worse and didn't even make it to his final form, but I think if I stand on this point of the screen while he does that attack, then I might be able to avoid the next one more easily. If you watch some of my Let's Play footage on my other channel, it's a beautiful thing to watch how almost every boss seems nearly impossible to beat. I mean, there's no freaking way, it's just not fair. And then next thing you know, you're inching closer and closer toward the goal, and then BAM! You beat it, and you're moving on to the next level. It's a thing of beauty to watch the human brain learn, and the way we learn as human beings is through failure. I hear this all the time. Etari, I have this dream. I have this goal. It's the most important thing in the world to me. I think about it all the time. But I have to wait until XYZ happens before I can start working on it. Or how about this? I tried to achieve my dream and failed, so I guess I should just move on to something else because if it was meant to be, then it would have just worked out. This one's my favorite. It's my favorite because it's the one that I have struggled with at times. Etari, I am tired. I've been struggling with my goal. I have been working on it, moving forward with my goal, but I just want it to happen sooner. I'm tired of waiting for it to come to fruition. For most of us, the way to get things to happen more faster would be to play the game of life the way we play Cuphead. We need to fail more. We need to fail frequently and fail often because if we are failing at things, that means we are trying new things and learning new things along the way. The process of learning needs to take place at a reasonable pace or the synapses in our brain just won't ever connect. I'll use the example of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. When we make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, we grab some bread, we grab some peanut butter, we grab some jelly, we put the peanut butter on one piece of the bread, put some jelly on the other piece of the bread, put the two together, and bam, within about 5 minutes or so, we got a sandwich ready to eat, right? What if we treated making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich the way we treat chasing after our dreams? We pull out a loaf of bread, we look at it, we analyze it, we look at the twist tie, and then we leave the loaf on the table and go ask 10 people what they think about peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Some people like them, some don't. Some say it's the healthiest thing in the world with all the protein and multiple food groups, and some say it's the most horrible thing in the world because there's gluten in it. And a week or so later, we come back to the loaf of bread and finally get around to getting that twist tie off. And we pull the bread out, we lay it on a plate, then we get distracted because a new season of our favorite TV show gets released, and we end up spending the day binging the entire season. So now that we're done watching all the episodes, we go back to our plate with the bread that's just sitting there waiting for us. The bread's a little hard now, but we go ahead and we pull out the peanut butter and jelly, we open up the jars, we grab a fork, and you know what? I should probably call my mom because it's been a while since I've spoken to her. And then the next day we come back to the plate, and now the bread's a little moldy, the peanut butter and jelly's a little, it's been sitting out all night, it's a little off, etc., etc., etc. Do you see where I'm going with this? If we take days or weeks in between each step of making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the sandwich just isn't as good as if we had just finished it in one sitting. It's how our brains learn. It's a natural process. You can't make it go faster. You can't skip ahead on steps, or else you don't have a full sandwich. I was training a group of salespeople not too long ago, and one of the guys brought his son. He couldn't find a babysitter that day, and he asked if he could bring his son. Sure, no problem. His son was probably about 10 years old. His son was playing games on his phone, so me being the gamer I am, I walked up to him, asked him what he was playing, and we chatted for a bit about games, and then he went back to playing on his phone. I watched him for a bit, and he would play a game for about 3 to 5 minutes, and he would either die once or twice, get bored with it, and move on to another game. And after about 5 or so games, next thing you know, he's back on the game he started playing first, and the cycle repeated itself. I asked him how long he had had some of those games, and he said he played them all the time, and he had most of them for weeks or months, but he wasn't very good at any of them. Later on during the training, the boy's ears perked up and asked a very good question. He asked why grown-ups quit such a lucrative job and move on to other things that don't pay as well. I asked him, do you remember how when you were playing those games on your phone, every time you died in a game, you would just quit playing and move on to another game? That's how some adults play the game of life. Every time they hit a roadblock at their job or in their relationship or anything really, they immediately quit and just move on to something else. They haven't grown up in that area of their life and learned how to learn yet. They think that people are born a certain way with certain skills and abilities, and if they weren't born with those abilities, then oh well, let's go find the things we're naturally good at. Successful people know that the only way to learn something new is through failure. The look of understanding on his face was amazing, and it felt good to be able to give him an analogy that he could relate to. I get asked a lot, how do I have so many 25 and 30-year-olds making a couple $100,000 a year? Well, they started with me when they were 20 or 22 years old. They've been working with us for 5 or 10 years now on a project that most people aren't willing to go through what it takes to succeed. If you are 35 or 40 getting started with us, then guess what? In about 5 or 10 years, you'll have what they have if you do what they did. They have helped the business grow from nothing and cried with me when things were tough and held each other up and talked about how great things were going to be someday. We knew that if we did what our mentors did, then logically speaking, we would eventually get what they got. Our mentors told us how challenging it was going to be to build a business, and we would have to go through the same things they did. And it would be very arrogant of us to think we wouldn't have to learn the same way they did or do the work like they did. If those 20-year-olds had have started with us, then took a year break, and then got started again and took 3 months off, every time they would have to get their momentum started all over again. And it would take 20 years instead of 10 to build the kind of businesses that they wanted. We've probably all heard the Aesop's fable called The Tortoise and the Hare, where the slow and steady turtle and the speedy rabbit race each other, right? In the story, the turtle wins the race because the rabbit kept taking breaks and naps during the race, and the turtle kept inching his way forward and eventually passed the rabbit while he was on one of those breaks. The moral of the story is supposed to be slow and steady wins the race, but if the freaking rabbit had have just kept moving forward instead of stopping every couple minutes, then the rabbit would have won. Don't get me wrong, Slow and steady will eventually finish the race if we don't die of old age first. We are in a race against time. We have a limited time span on this planet in this game of life. And if you are a rabbit, then freaking move your butt and keep going as fast as you can and don't take as many breaks so you can get there sooner. I never wanted to be the turtle. I wanted to be a smarter rabbit that didn't shoot himself in the foot and ended up losing the race because of laziness or lack of drive and ambition. I have an employee that recently made a mistake, and that mistake cost me well over $10,000. And somebody asked me if I was going to fire her. I was like, why would I fire her? I just spent $10,000 training her. I bet she'll never make that mistake ever again. When you fail or make a mistake, that is not a reason to quit and move on to something else. If somebody fails and makes a mistake on your team, that is not a reason to get rid of them. You just spent all that time, energy, and emotion, and probably some money learning those lessons. Now you know. Don't do it that way again. Let's try it a different way. Let's use some different weapons and power-ups this time through the level and see how that works. For those of you that would like some more information on this topic, I would highly recommend the book Failing Forward by a guy named John Maxwell. If this video has helped you in any way, then help your fellow gamers out and share it with someone. If this video helps one fellow gamer adapt their way of thinking and grow into the type of person they have always dreamed of becoming, then my time has been well spent. If this video has helped you in any way, give it a big thumbs up on that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Tell us how. Until next time, keep moving forward, and we'll see y'all on the next one.
If you wanna know the God's honest truth, the key to this life is communication with people who learn to do more than just exist.